What's good, fam? Kendrick Lamar just officially ended the conversation about the greatest of all time by sweeping the Grammys and leaving his competition in the absolute dirt. On February 1st of 2026, Kendrick surpassed Jay-Z to become the most awarded rapper in the history of the awards with 27 total wins. This historic run included winning Record of the Year for his track Luther, and that marks the first time any rapper has ever won that specific award in consecutive years. Everyone remembers him taking that same trophy home in 2025 for Not Like Us, but doing it again proves his dominance is a whole era rather than just a moment. His latest project, GNX, secured Best Rap Album, while the song TV Off took home Best Rap Song, and Chains and Whips won Best Rap Performance to keep the momentum going. To add even more fuel to the fire, Nielsen data from February 11th confirmed that his Super Bowl 59 performance is officially the most watched halftime show in history. He managed to outperform the massive numbers set by Bad Bunny in 2026, which proves the entire world is paying attention to every single move the Compton legend makes. This level of success is unprecedented for a lyricist who refuses to play the industry games that other artists rely on for their relevance. The culture has shifted so heavily in his direction that even the biggest icons are seeing their records fall in real time. Passing Jay-Z is about more than just a trophy count because it represents a complete takeover of the hierarchy in hip-hop. Kendrick is doing all of this while staying true to his roots and delivering music that actually has something to say to the people. While the rest of the world is celebrating this historic achievement, DJ Akademiks is busy having a massive meltdown on his live stream, trying to explain it all away. During a viral session on February 5th of 2026, he claimed that Kendrick only wins because he has mastered the art of weaponizing misinformation and lying to the public. According to the biggest Drake supporter on the internet, the battle from the last 2 years didn't come from bars or skill, but from pure narrative manipulation. Fans across social media immediately started calling this what it is, and it looks like high-level cope for the string of losses Drake has been taking lately. Akademiks seems to be suggesting that the entire culture is being tricked into liking Kendrick, even though the music on GNX has received universal critical acclaim. It is honestly hilarious to watch someone try to frame lyrical genius as some kind of secret propaganda campaign just because their favorite artist is losing the plot. The commercial success Kendrick has sustained since the beef proves that the people are actually listening to the music and not just following a manufactured narrative. AK is desperately trying to protect the OVO brand, but his claims are completely ignoring the fact that the songs are actually moving the culture in a way we haven't seen in decades. This weaponized lies theory sounds like something someone comes up with when they have no other way to explain why their guy is getting washed on every level. The reality is that Kendrick Lamar has reached a level of prestige that most rappers cannot even dream of reaching during their entire careers. Seeing him stand on that stage and accept win after win was a clear signal that the industry is finally rewarding substance over simple radio play. Taking home the Best Rap Album award for GNX represented the final nail in the coffin for anyone trying to say that Kendrick was only relevant because of the beef. That project stands on its own as a masterpiece, and the Grammy voters clearly agree with that sentiment. When you look at the stats, 27 wins puts him in a league of his own. He is no longer just competing with his peers, but with the ghosts of the legends who came before him. Beating out the viewership numbers for the Super Bowl is even more impressive because it shows his reach goes far beyond just hip-hop fans. He has become a global phenomenon that represents the highest level of artistry in modern music. Drake and his supporters can talk about narrative and misinformation all they want, but the numbers and the trophies do not lie. You cannot manipulate 27 different Grammy wins and a record-breaking Super Bowl performance through simple internet rumors. This is the result of years of dedication to the craft and a level of focus that his rivals simply do not possess. The energy coming from the Akademiks camp is smelling like pure desperation, while Kendrick keeps building a legacy that nobody can touch. And seeing Ak scream at his monitor about imaginary tactics is the only way to describe this beef in 2026. You have one man making actual history while another group is busy cooking up conspiracy theories just to cope with the reality of a massive loss. People on X noticed that Ak never questioned the system when the boy was winning, but now that the crown has shifted, he wants to claim everything is rigged to protect his own fading relevance. Dot has moved way past the petty drama and reached a level where his only real competition is himself, which is why fans and critics are breaking down the GNX album like it is a textbook. Ak tries to paint Kendrick as some master manipulator, though the only thing he is actually manipulating is the English language to make better music than his peers. This level of cope is something we have never witnessed before, and it is only going to get crazier as Kendrick keeps shattering more industry records. Kendrick Lamar has the crown, so anyone still trying to deny his position is just trapped in a fantasy world of their own making. New reports from February 8th of 2026 claim the boy remains officially in hiding after he turned down an appearance at Super Bowl 60 with Bad Bunny. Insiders are saying he wanted to dodge the noise and those inevitable comparisons to the record-breaking Super Bowl show Kendrick put on the year before. Turning down the biggest stage on the planet because you are scared of being reminded about the biggest loss of your life is a nasty look for anyone. While Kendrick stays busy setting new viewership records, Drake is reportedly staying low to avoid any public moments that might start a Kendrick chant in the crowd. The constant fear of getting booed or seeing a stadium full of people doing the Not Like Us dance is literally controlling his whole career strategy right now. We are talking about a man who used to live for the spotlight, but these days he acts like he has a serious allergy to cameras and massive crowds. This situation proves how much psychological damage Kendrick actually did, especially since Drake used to think he was completely untouchable on any stage in the world. He is letting opportunities with global stars like Bad Bunny pass him by just to stay in his bubble and hide from the reality of his current situation. Everyone in the industry is looking at this move as a major sign of weakness because they know how much he usually loves a big Super Bowl moment. Things got even worse for the OVO camp when Drake managed to lose another $1 million betting on the Patriots during that same Super Bowl game. This latest hit brings his total documented gambling debt since the start of 2025 to nearly $5 million, and that is a wild amount of cash to set on fire. The Drake curse was trending heavy on February 8th after the Seattle Seahawks beat the Patriots, which proves his bad luck remains just as consistent as his bad decisions. Whenever he puts a massive bag on a team, the whole internet just waits for the inevitable collapse, and he honestly never fails to deliver a loss. It has reached a point where professional athletes probably want him to stop betting on them since his name has become synonymous with losing at this stage. You really have to wonder what is happening behind the scenes when a man is blowing $5 million on sports while his rap career sits in a state of emergency. It looks like he is trying to gamble his way out of the depression of losing that beef, but the universe is simply not letting him have a single win. These massive betting losses now form a huge part of his public image, and it only fuels the narrative that everything he touches lately turns into dust. The courtroom situation has turned into a complete disaster for the boy since Judge Vargas just tossed out that defamation lawsuit against Universal Music Group. The result was a clear message that Kendrick calling him a pedophile was legally protected opinion inside a rap battle, which meant a massive L for Drake. He thought he could use a courtroom to win a fight he already lost on the charts, but the legal system would not protect his feelings from a lyrical beatdown. Drake tried to argue that these bars ruined his reputation, yet the court basically told him this is exactly what he signed up for when he entered the game. This dismissal stands as a huge win for hip-hop because it protects the right of artists to speak their truth without catching a frivolous lawsuit for every diss. It is a nasty look for a guy who acts like a mob boss to be running to a judge because a Compton rapper hurt his feelings with some bars. Kendrick is out here collecting Grammys while Drake is just stacking up legal bills and getting laughed out of court by judges who are not impressed. Even with all these losses piling up, the boy is reportedly rushing to drop his 9th studio album titled ICEMAN on Friday, February 13th of 2026. This entire rollout feels frantic as he tries to snatch back the narrative before Kendrick finds another way to overshadow him. We saw a preview of his desperate mindset when that track "Sizzin' Me Up" leaked on February 6th, and DJ Akademiks says this was a calculated move. According to the reporting from Ak, Drake leaked his own track specifically to step on J. Cole's release of The Fall Off, which proves his petty energy is still at an all-time high. Cole has done his best to stay out of the line of fire, but Drake seems dead set on sabotaging anyone who is not strictly following his lead. The distance between these two former friends is growing by the day because Cole is dropping music like What If That focuses on peace and moving forward. Drake is still stuck in the past trying to litigate a beef that the rest of the world has already moved on from. Rushing out a project like ICEMAN just to be spiteful is a dangerous game because the quality always drops when you are making music just to spite your enemies. The difference between how Kendrick and Drake are moving right now is honestly like night and day. Kendrick is moving with the confidence of a champion who knows his legacy is secure, while Drake is moving like he is absolutely terrified of being forgotten by the fans. Trying to sabotage J. Cole is a new low when you consider how much Cole tried to play the middleman in the early days of this war. It shows that Drake is willing willing to burn every single bridge he has left just to get a few minutes of attention on the timeline. Industry insiders are watching this ICEMAN roll out with a lot of skepticism because it smells like a desperation play from a man who knows his time is running out. You cannot just leak songs and sue people into liking you again, and the culture is seeing right through all the smoke and mirrors. Cole is moving with integrity and Kendrick is moving with prestige, while Drake is stuck in a middle ground of legal losses and gambling debts. February 13th is going to be the ultimate test for the OVO brand, because if ICEMAN is not a classic, there might not be a way back from this hole. Fans are looking for growth and evolution, but all we get from the Drake camp is the same petty tactics and weaponized misinformation that Akademiks keeps talking about. It is a sad state of affairs for a man who once sat at the top of the mountain but now finds himself fighting for scraps of relevance. Looking at the whole picture of this beef, the distance between these two has become a permanent reality that nobody can change. Kendrick Lamar holding 27 Grammys is not just a high score because it proves he has the full respect of the industry at the highest level. By passing Jay-Z in total wins, that changed the way people will talk about rap history for the next 50 years. We are watching a man move into a legendary status that very few humans will ever touch. Taking home Record of the Year in back-to-back years shows that his music has a reach that goes way beyond just the hip-hop community. You cannot lie your way into 27 Grammys, and you definitely cannot fake the numbers for a Super Bowl performance that broke every record. Beating out Bad Bunny for the most watched halftime show in history is a stat that should keep everyone in the OVO camp awake at night. He won everything by staying true to his own sound instead of chasing pop features. While Drake and DJ Akademiks are stuck in a loop of lawsuits and fake theories, the culture has already picked the winner. All this talk about weaponized lies is just a fancy way for the Drake camp to admit they got outplayed on every single level. If the only defense you have is claiming the other guy is a better liar, you have already lost the moral and creative fight. People are not bumping GNX because they were tricked by some narrative, but because the music is actually soul-stirring and superior on a technical level. It is an insult to the fans to suggest that millions of people are being manipulated into enjoying what Kendrick is doing right now. This logic from Akademiks shows he has zero respect for the craft, and it explains why his opinion is becoming less relevant every day. Dot is putting his energy into the art and his legacy, while the other side is obsessed with legal technicalities. You can feel the difference in the energy because one side is celebrating a historic win, while the other is looking for any loophole to feel better. The culture knows the difference between someone being authentic and someone just trying to protect their brand. Kendrick earned his spot through decades of being the best, and no amount of internet cope will ever change that fact. The whole rollout for this ICEMAN album looks like a desperate attempt to take back a narrative that Kendrick already ended months ago. Dropping a project on Friday the 13th after rushing the whole production sounds like an artist who is terrified of the silence that has followed his recent losses. Drake used to be the one who controlled the timing for everyone, but now he is just reacting to Kendrick's shadow in everything he does. Trying to stomp on the release of The Fall Off by J. Cole is some nasty work. He is willing to sabotage his own peers for a headline, and that shows an ego that has completely spiraled out of control. When you are actually winning, you do not have to use these petty tactics just to stay in the conversation or feel relevant. Kendrick dropped GNX and let the music speak for itself without having to leak tracks or mess with other people's dates. That is the difference between a real king and someone who is just fighting to keep their crown from falling on the floor. The ICEMAN project might have some hits, but people will always see the desperation behind it. And remember, he is still ducking the big stages like the Super Bowl. You cannot call yourself the greatest if you are scared to stand on the same platform where your rival just set a world record. When we look at the legal side of this mess, the dismissal from Judge Vargas stands as a massive cultural landmark because it proves the real world still respects the rules of rap. Trying to use a defamation lawsuit to scrub the internet of his losses stood as a desperate move that lacked every single ounce of hip-hop integrity. The result was a court that basically informed him that when you get cooked in a battle, you have to take your lumps like a grown man instead of running to call a lawyer. But here's the thing, this permanent gap in their status is not just about the songs they make, because it highlights the exact type of character each man displays when the pressure gets heavy. Kendrick stood his ground and delivered a masterclass in how to dismantle an opponent. But Drake has wasted the last year complaining while he loses millions of dollars on sports bets. The Drake curse is no longer just about the money he loses on the Patriots or the Seahawks, and that is because his entire brand is now fully associated with failure and terrible optics. It is genuinely hard to see a path back to the top for a guy who has become the punchline of every single joke on social media. Even his most loyal supporters, like Akademiks, are starting to sound like they are reading from a script of excuses, and it feels obvious they do not even believe in the product anymore. In the end, the history books are going to show that 2025 and 2026 were the exact years that Kendrick Lamar officially took that throne and never looked back, which meant those 27 Grammys and the massive Super Bowl viewership records are permanent marks of his greatness that no amount of complaining from Toronto can ever erase. We are witnessing the final stages of a total shift in power where the actual lyricist has finally defeated the pop star in a fair fight. While Drake hides from the biggest stages and prepares to drop ICEMAN, Kendrick has already moved into the next phase of a legendary journey that has no ceiling. The narrative is closed and the receipts are filed, which means the culture has made a final decision. Kendrick Lamar is the most awarded and most watched rapper in history for a reason, and that success has nothing to do with misinformation and everything to do with him being the best to ever do it. The gap is permanent and the throne is occupied, and that means there is nothing left for the competition to do but sit back and watch the greatness unfold. Drake can keep his losing betting slips and his dismissed lawsuits, while Kendrick keeps the respect of the entire world and the trophies to prove he is the king. This era belongs to Compton, and the era of the Six. God has officially reached its cold and lonely conclusion.